found this series really interesting and really good. And it's probably the first time in years that I've really looked at what Jesus did on the cross in such a more deeper way, and I hope it's been a similar experience for you. And so far we've broken the story up. We've looked at forgiveness. We've looked at truly you'll be with me in paradise, which was the salvation bit. Can't remember the next bit. What did I do last week?
My God, why?
Yes. Abandonment.
Mother, or dear woman.
Yes. So we've done a few. And this week we're going to be looking at when Jesus says, I am thirsty. And as I've been looking at the story, we've been jumping about from one gospel to another, from Luke to Matthew to John. We haven't really looked at Mark. But those are the three that we've been looking at. And what's really struck me is probably the same for us, is how each of them have told the same story but differently almost. But John is the only one that talks about Jesus being thirsty. And that's probably because he was the only eyewitness on the day. The others would have heard the story relayed to them through others. So it's about communication, isn't it? And the thing is, we don't all hear the same thing. We don't all see the same thing the same way. It's the same as me here on a Sunday when I write this. I don't know where the message comes from. Well, I know where the message comes from, but then I've got 20-odd people sitting in front of me that are going to hear it differently, absorb it differently, take it away with them differently. And this is what would have happened with them. And that's why not all the stories are the same. Some things that they've written about, especially if you've got a Bible where the red bits are the things that Jesus said. These are the things that would have really stuck out to them. That they would have wanted to pass that message on. They wanted it to be remembered and not lost. Because these weren't written as events were happening. These stories were written years later, when there was a lot of persecution, and there was a lot of things going on in the churches that were starting then. And these would have been messages of encouragement, helping people to know the story of Jesus, which is exactly why we have Bibles today, so that people can know the story of Jesus. And it's really up to these guys that we've got that. You know, they recorded it so that it wouldn't be lost. It's different for us these days, isn't it? Because if you want to tell somebody something, it's easy to say, I'll highlight this link and stick it in an email and send it to them and say, follow this link. Does anybody do that? Is it only me that does that? Does anybody know how to use a computer in this church? But I just wonder if we think all those years back, you know, or how easy it would be for us now to witness to others, to say, I'll send you a link of a live picture of Jesus being killed on the cross. Imagine if we could do that. How easy it would be to witness, wouldn't it? Watch this video, live video that was recorded of Jesus dying on the cross. But it's not like that, is it? It happened word of mouth for them. And in a way, that's the way it still happens. We tell people about our lives, about how Jesus has impacted it, how Jesus has changed our lives. We pass the message on. And this got me thinking it's a good thing it hasn't been lost. Because where would we all be? But then it got me to thinking of the things that I do lose. Now, I'm not that bad at not losing things, but I'm really good at hiding things and then losing them. Does anybody else have that problem?
Safe places.
Yes. Anybody got safe places that they can never then find their safe place? When I was writing this, it reminded me of a story that I'd forgotten all about, actually. I'd just got back from England. When was it? Was it 98? And I went to live with my sister in her flat. And I had a 50 rand note, which is probably like a £50 note. Not that it's worth the same amount, but it's like a £50 note. And I didn't want to take it out with me, so I hid it somewhere in the bedroom. And then, you know what? I was absolutely clueless to where I'd hidden it. Not a clue. And my sister had a cleaner at the time. And so I said to my sister, I said, I'm sure that she may have taken it. And so what my sister did was actually get rid of the cleaner. Only about 2 weeks later was I changing the tablecloth on my bedside table, did I realise it was under that. So it just shows you how we can lose things. But when I thought about that, I thought, how often do we lose things, or we have our safe places? And we turn the house or the office or whatever the case is upside down to try and find it. Who's had to do that before? I've had to do that in the flat I lived in before I moved to the Manx because I lost my car key. My spare car key, I'd hidden it somewhere in the flat, and I could not find it for love or money. And I absolutely went through everything in that flat. I left no stone unturned. What a good entry, because that's what I'm going to talk to you about today. Leaving no stone unturned. Hence why you're all holding stones this morning. Leaving no stone unturned, isn't it? We do it when we lose something. But do we do it when we lose a part of ourselves? When we're so busy moving forward with life that we forget about the things that we haven't dealt with. It's losing those things that we're trying to find, and it's that constant niggle within us because we know it's somewhere. We know it's there, but we can't find it. All those things in our lives that we don't work through, our sin, our regrets, our guilt. There's so many. And we move on. Sometimes I've not found the things I've been looking for. And you just move on, you forget about it, and you find it years later. But it's the same as the things that we don't deal with, isn't it? Sometimes they rear their ugly head years down the line. Like we think we've grieved for somebody, and we clearly haven't. Because it comes back and it rears its ugly head. It's never finished until it's finished. It's never finished until we've dealt with it. And this is exactly what Jesus is doing on the cross here in these moments. He's saying, I am thirsty. And yes, in his humanness, he would have been thirsty because his body would have withstood 6 hours of pain and torture up until that point. He had been hanging for 6 hours on the cross, let alone the punishment and the torture he had had before that. So obviously, he would have been thirsty. And I think this piece of scripture can catch you out, and you can possibly take it out of context and focus on that Jesus was thirsty because of his humanness. But you've really got to read it carefully. And it says, knowing that everything had now been finished. And so that scripture would be fulfilled. Jesus said, I am thirsty. And that really stood out for me because he didn't ask for that drink. because of his human thirst. He did it because he needed to go back and fulfill a prophecy. And he did that to relate it to the people that were right there and then, to show them that he was the Christ that they were actually waiting for. So sometimes you've got to go back in order to go forward. You've got to go back and deal with your stones before you can let them go. And I thought to myself, next week we're going to be looking at It Is Finished. But I thought, Jesus only said that when he went back and dealt with the past. Jesus only said, It is finished, when he said, I am thirsty. He dealt with the thirsty bit first. And I think we have the same problem, don't we? We want to move on from everything. We want to get over it quick. We want to just not have to deal with that stuff because it hurts and it's painful and it's going to show us things about our lives that we don't like. But actually, we find so many times in our lives that we are still dealing with that stuff because we never went back and did it properly. This drink that Jesus had, I mean, why was it so important for him to have one last drink? It's almost like being at the closing hour in the pub, isn't it? One last drink, one last drink. But why was it so important that Jesus had this one last drink? He was showing that the past was dealt with. He was showing that the new was to come. And he was showing us how to bridge, how he was the bridge between the two. It's the saying goodbye to the old covenant, which was all the law and all of the rules and everything. And then there was the new covenant, where Jesus fulfilled the law. He didn't abolish it, he fulfilled it. And just a bit of info about this drink that he had, I actually looked into it. And it's called Posca. And believe it or not, people are still trying to make it today. There's like a few recipes online that people are trying to make. And why he was given this wine in particular, it was sour wine or sour vinegar that the soldiers used to carry around with them. And it was something that would purify water. It would kill the bacteria in the water, and so it was something that they carried around with them. And some of it even had some myrrh in, which had almost a pain-killing effect, and possibly helped them to get drunk in some way. But this was offered to Jesus on a sponge sponge that also the soldiers would have carried around with them, because it was a spare, they used to carry a spare piece of sponge that used to go in their helmets, which used to help with the sweat. And so this is what he was given a drink of, a nice sweaty sponge out of a helmet. Obviously on a piece of stick, but actually some people interpret it as the javelin that the soldiers actually carry. And this was Jesus' last drink. Some sour, bitter wine on a stick, on a sweaty sponge. But the thing is, if we go back a little bit of the story to when he was just about to start carrying his cross, he was actually offered it then. But he never drank it. He wanted to be aware, he wanted to understand, and he wanted to be that whole experience. He didn't want the painkiller. He was fully aware up until the moment that he died of everything. And it shows it in this piece of scripture, because he knew something was still left unfinished that he had to deal with. And I think that's what we need to do, don't we, in our lives. Going back is something we don't like, because the world tells us we've got to get on with it, we've got to move forward. But sometimes we have to go back to our past in order to go forward as the person that Christ wants us to be. He cannot give us something new in our lives until we get rid of the old. The past he needed to deal with was to fulfill that prophecy. He needed to say, people, I am the Christ, and I'll prove it to you. Go back to your Psalms, which would have been part of their Bible in that day. Psalm 69 verse 1. And it says it there. They gave me gall for my food and vinegar for my drink. He was relating to them. He was showing them that it was him. He was making it real. Isn't that what the past does? When we go back to the past, it makes our lives real. It shows us that something needs to be dealt with. I just think, when I think of the cross, how does the cross relate into your life, into your situations? It relates on every single level, no matter which way you look at it. If you put Jesus in the center of your life, he will be that bridging gap, that piece of polyfiller into getting you from dealing with the old into the new that he has for you. But like I said earlier, the light can only overcome the darkness if the light is allowed in to the darkness. Because light doesn't light up light. Light only lights up darkness. But the great thing as well in Jesus is we'll never be accomplished. We'll never be finished. We're a work in progress. No, scripture says, I am confident of this, that the one who began a good work among you will bring it to completion. But we've got to meet God halfway, haven't we? We've got to let him in. We've got to ask him to help us go back in order to go forward. I mean, think about it yourselves. If you've got something at home that needs replacing, what do you do with the old thing that you've got? Apart from those who are hoarders and keep it. No, I'm not looking at anybody in particular. But what should you do with it? But you're moving it on, aren't you, to replace it with a new. That's the same as Jesus was doing. He was completing the old covenant so that the new covenant could fulfill its place in his life and what he was doing. So we can't really expect God to fill our lives with new things, and I mean not new things materialistic, but new ways of thinking, new ways of doing things, if we're not willing to let him in to deal with all that stuff. And I can speak from testimony for that. He is that gap, isn't he? When the Old Testament ended and the New Testament started, the new covenants, he was that bridging gap in between them. One didn't end and the next one began. He was the one who made it flow over. He brought one to completion and then the other one began. He's almost like that polyfiller, isn't it? He polyfilled the gap that would have been in between. He was the hope to come. If we look at the Old Testament and the New Testament, there's 400 years of silence between the two books, between Malachi and Matthew. 400 years of silence. Nothing was recorded. But the hope to come, that was Jesus Christ, was that gap already forming before he was born. And he fulfilled that bridging gap that day on the cross. And how has it felt holding your stones today? Have you been conscious of it in your hand? Has it maybe brought to mind something in your life that you perhaps need to give to God, that you need to maybe let him in? I bet you can't wait to put your stone down, can you? I should ask you to walk out here and carry it till next Sunday. But doesn't it remind you of how we carry things in our lives? You know? Because we don't want to deal with them. That's what no stone unturned means. That we're going to work through this stuff. That we're going to do something about it, no matter how much it hurts. Because we need to let that stone go. It's never finished until it's really finished. It's never finished until we let Jesus in. To be that gap to help us to finish it. You'll never be able to do it in your own strength. He's got to be that light in your darkness. I just think maybe to finish, Ian, if you could put a bit of music on it. And I just think, if you want to take your stone home and you want to carry it around and think about things for a while and think about how you can let your stone go, how you can let God into your life, then take it home with you. Carry it around. But if you're here this morning knowing that if this message has helped you in some way, that you want to go back and sort something out, then come and leave your stone here at the foot of the cross. But if you're going to leave it here, mean it. Don't pick it back up and take it with you. Leave your stone here. And let God help you deal with that thing you've left at the cross. So let's do that for a few minutes. everyone just closes their eyes so nobody's watching.